Hello, fellow book lovers, both readers and writers. I am Matty Dalrymple. I write the Ann Kinnear Suspense Novels and suspense shorts and the Lizzy Ballard Thrillers, and I also podcast, write, speak, and consult on the writing craft and the publishing voyage as the indie author. You can find out more about me at mattydalrymple.com and at theindieauthor.com. And this is my video series, What I Learned, where I ask authors two questions about their latest book. What did they learn from that book that they would like to share with their fellow writers? And what did they learn from that book that they would like to share with their fellow readers? And I am here today with Patricia Laughlin. Hey, Patricia, how are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. To give our viewers a little bit of background on you, Patricia D'Arcy Laughlin was born in Trinidad of British and French ancestry. She was educated there, the UK, and in the US. She's a world traveler and an award winning artist famous for developing her unique Stainings on Wood. She lives in Florida with her husband, and she has three children, five grandchildren, and two great grandchildren. And although she has composed poetry, Sacrifices for Kingdoms is her first novel. And so today I'm going to ask Patricia the two What I Learned questions about Sacrifices for Kingdoms, starting out with what did you learn that you would like to share with your fellow writers?
Basically, I wrote about a European prince and a commoner. She is a Trinidadian American. She has been educated in the States. She went to NYU. She lived with her aunt and uncle who were very rich in Manhattan while she was at school since 16. She's a very smart person. She is no Cinderella. She's sophisticated. She traveled all over the world with with a lot of family. And she meets this European prince, no country cold. There are still about 12 monarchies in Europe. A lot of people don't know that. And I wanted to keep that part mysterious. And they meet and they fall in love. And it actually is a romantic triangle situation. It's a trilogy. The trilogy is called Sacrifices for Kingdoms. And then that's book one. And then book two will have a different title in book three, which is still in progress. Book three is actually being edited right now. And so they fall in love, she reluctantly, and it's their journey. And it has a lot of drama. He negotiates with terrorists secretly. She is committed to female equality with males. It's a big part of her being. She is actually quite the philanthropist. She actually started a home, not just a complex, but a home with a swimming pool and everything else for children with limited disabilities intellectually. And she has her own business. She actually is quite wealthy in her own right. So she's not easily impressed by she is no Cinderella. She's no rags to riches story. And she actually, in her travels, started paying attention to the fact that in the historical sites, most of them had at one time, many years, many millennia before now, goddess religions that she was not aware of. I mean, she, of course, knew about Venus and Athena and that sort of thing, the mythological stuff. But she had no idea that the goddess and goddesses, together with goddess religions, were around for many, many more millennia than this new patriarchal god of just 2 millennia that we've all been worshiping. And, he's been the one promoted. And she was determined to find out how this all came about and why was it hidden from us that there was this whole goddess religion that was widespread all over the known world at the time, all over Europe, so much so that even in the Vatican, if you go to St. Peter's Basilica, there's symbols of goddesses all over the basilica. And so you find out these things from traveling and from paying attention to your guide, because these things are not written up in books. If you read on the beginnings of a religion, they just kind of throw the whole goddess thing in for like 2 lines, and the rest is all about the known religions of today. So she was determined to find out why we ended up with all this patriarchy, which is not serving the planet very well, we are still having wars. And it occurred to her she'd better study the biology of the male and the female brain. And this is factual. That actually comes up in the book. My book is fiction, but I used a lot of facts when it came to the whole religious aspect. I did not take much artistic license. I was very careful there. And what she realized is because the male brain is so different to the female brain, down to the fact that under stress, both of male and female produce oxytocin. In the female, it makes her calmer. In the male, it makes him more aggressive. And so she realizes if we're going to have peace on earth, on this planet, and stop all these wars and conflicts and aggression, we need to have the females rule equally with the males. Otherwise, we will not achieve peace on earth. Wars will continue. And now with all the wonderful nuclear weapons and every idiot being able to purchase the gun in some countries, you won't stay where. And it means that, the aggression is going to continue. And eventually they'll just blow it all up. And she's determined to save the planet and bring peace on earth.
So I had a question about all the research you did because you've hit a lot of topics there, the biological study and the background of monarchies in Europe and so on. How did you decide how much of that to include? And were there any red flags that said to you, oh, now I'm going beyond what the reader needs for this particular story?
It is a romance. It's a contemporary romance. It's in this time. But these people have, traveled the world. And I wanted to bring that in, not just in the religious aspect, but I wanted to enlighten people about the various cultures that exist and that they have to not think of religion as division. Religion was originally, the concept was to unite people and to save us. And it has turned the other way. It's divisive and it's creating more and more violence all over the world still. And basically, the European prince, he also has concerns. It's a multi-genre book. I've been told that by so many people who've read it. He is giving speeches all over the world, the UN. He went to South America about climate change. And so they're both advocates for an improvement in humanity's conditions. But on the other hand, they are both very passionate in the romance department. And so I had to write really good sex.
Well, that might be a segue to what you learned from the book that you would like to share with your fellow readers.
Right. Readers do not want they met, they kissed, he entered, they saw stars. They want more details today. Readers are much more sophisticated than several years ago and getting that way more and more. They want to show that in a committed relationship, a couple should be comfortable to try everything they want to try. And this was very important to me because I've noticed in so many stories and movies today that a couple would just meet and in no time they're stripping off their clothes, ripping it off, and jumping into bed. How can they develop a loving relationship that way that will last and create a happy family and have a continuation of loving feelings and not want to try somebody else if they are not going to enjoy each other to begin with completely in whatever way they choose?
And did you feel that committing that to paper, writing about that, solidified your own thoughts about that, even beyond what you felt when you were going into the writing process?
Yes. Well, I got lucky that I am still married to my teenage sweetheart. We married as teenagers. So even though I was raised with all the patriarchal religions where women were held to a different standard to the men, because we were in a committed relationship and we adored each other, I felt comfortable to explore my sexuality with my husband. And I wanted this couple to have that. But on the other hand, it's a triangle situation. It's a universal triangle. There's another male involved. And I won't go into that because it'll spoil the mystery. But I just wanted to not point out that this is not about shaming the woman or the man. This is about they're committed to each other and they're having fun and they're not hurting anyone.
Well, Patricia, I think that people are going to be intrigued about your book for many reasons, many of the reasons you've mentioned. Thank you so much for joining me to talk about Sacrifices for Kingdoms. And please let the viewers know where they can go to find out more about it and you and everything you do online.
Well, I can always advise that they go to first my website. It's very easy. There's a button there. They just have to go to my bio and they can order straight from my website. But of course, it's on Amazon. It's also at Barnes& and Noble and wherever bookstores are sold.
Great. Thank you so much, Patricia.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.